Imagine the Mongolian steppe, a huge grassy area under a big sky. For hundreds of years, nomadic tribes and powerful empires called this place home. In this amazing place in the early 1900s, a girl named Genepil was born. Her family wasn't royalty, but they were respected in their community. They taught young Genepil important values: to be tough, to love the land, and to be a good member of her community. Genepil grew up learning the ways of the steppe. She learned to ride horses like a pro, herding animals and exploring the wide-open plains. But her life was about to change a lot, taking her from her family's cozy home to the big stage of Mongolian politics. It seemed like destiny had something different planned for Genepil, something that would make her famous in Mongolian history. In 1938, Mongolia was at a turning point. The country was undergoing significant changes both politically and socially, as it navigated the complexities of the 20th century. The 8th Yepsundamba Kutugtu, the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism in Mongolia, needed a queen. This was a role of immense importance, not just spiritually, but also politically. Traditionally, the queen was chosen from a small group of noble women. These women were groomed for this role from a young age, trained in the ways of the court and the spiritual responsibilities that came with it. But something unexpected happened. Genepil, a young woman from a regular family, was suddenly chosen. Her selection was a surprise to many, as she did not come from the traditional noble lineage. No one knows exactly why she was chosen. There are many theories, but the true reason remains a mystery. Some people say the political situation, which was influenced a lot by the Soviet Union, played a part. The Soviets had a strong presence in Mongolia, and their influence was felt in many aspects of life. Others think her beauty and kindness caught the eye of powerful people. Genepil was known for her gentle nature and her willingness to help others, qualities that made her stand out. For whatever reason, Genepil, the young woman from the steppe, became the Queen of Mongolia. Her rise to this position was nothing short of extraordinary. Her wedding to the Yepsundamba Kutugtu was a big celebration, a bright spot during uncertain political times. The ceremony was grand, filled with traditional rituals and joyous festivities. But their marriage didn't last long. The political climate was too volatile, and their union couldn't withstand the pressures. Things were changing, and Mongolia, controlled by the Soviet Union, was about to face a lot of political problems and religious persecution. The influence of the Soviets brought about a period of great turmoil. Genepil's time as queen, though short, was full of trouble and sadness. Her story is a poignant reminder of the complexities and challenges faced by those in positions of power during times of great change. The early 1900s were a tough time for Mongolia. The country was caught in a complex web of political and social upheaval. Stuck between Russia and China, Mongolia declared its independence in 1911 after the fall of the Qing dynasty. This was a significant moment in Mongolian history, marking the end of centuries of foreign domination. But this independence was shaky, always threatened by other countries and problems within Mongolia. Internal strife and external pressures made it difficult for the young nation to stabilize. Communism in Russia was a big threat, and by the 1930s the Soviet Union was in control of almost everything in Mongolia. The influence of the Soviets grew stronger, overshadowing Mongolia's own governance. The Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin, was forcing its ideas on other countries and punishing anyone who disagreed. Stalin's regime was notorious for its harsh tactics and relentless pursuit of control. Religion, seen as a problem for communist ideas, was attacked. The Soviets viewed religious institutions as a threat to their ideology and sought to eliminate them. Monasteries were destroyed, monks were forced to give up their beliefs, and religious practices were banned. This was a devastating blow to Mongolia's cultural and spiritual heritage. Mongolia, with its strong Buddhist traditions, became a target for these anti-religious campaigns. The Soviets aimed to eradicate Buddhism, which was deeply ingrained in Mongolian society. The Yepsundamba Kutugtu, as the spiritual leader, became a symbol of resistance against the Soviet Union. His leadership and defiance inspired many Mongolians to stand up against Soviet oppression. He was important to Mongolian culture and identity, and he was a problem for the Soviet plan to create a country without religion. His presence was a constant reminder of Mongolia's rich spiritual heritage. As things got worse, the Yepsundamba Kutugtu and Queen Genepil became targets of a cruel government. Their persecution highlighted the brutal lengths to which the Soviets would go to maintain control. The Soviet Union's control over Mongolia got stronger every year. The country's politics became like the Soviet Union's, with leaders chosen by Moscow to enforce their rules. Traditional Mongolian power, like the monarchy and the Buddhist leaders, were destroyed. Everyone was suspicious of each other, as accusations of working against the government and spying became common. Fake trials were used to get rid of anyone who disagreed with the government. Buddhist leaders, seen as a threat, were targeted the most. In this scary time, Queen Genepil's situation became dangerous. Because she was connected to the Yepsundamba Kutugtu, who was now seen as an enemy, people started to suspect her. Rumors, true or not, started spreading about her. This was the beginning of a tragedy that would shock Mongolia. In 1938, disaster struck. The Soviet-controlled Mongolian government started a huge purge to crush any remaining opposition. Thousands of people, including monks, smart people, and political figures, were arrested on fake charges of treason, spying, and working against the government. Queen Genepil, already suspected because of her connection to the Yepsundamba Kutugtu, was arrested too. She was accused of plotting against the state, spying, and trying to stop the socialist revolution. These charges were completely made up to get rid of her and destroy any connection to Mongolia's past. Her trial was fake, controlled by the Soviets. Genepil wasn't given a fair chance to defend herself. She was found guilty and sentenced to death. She was executed in 1938, only 30 years old, another victim of the Soviet Union's cruelty. Her death, and the deaths of many others, was a terrible time in Mongolian history, showing how bad things can get when extreme political ideas take over. For many years after her execution, no one talked about Queen Genepil. Her story was only whispered in secret and passed down through families. The Soviet Union tried to erase her from history, but people always remember their heroes. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Mongolia was finally free. Democracy began, and people became interested in their history again. Queen Genepil's story, once silenced, became a symbol of strength and the spirit of the Mongolian people. Her sad fate reminds us how important freedom and justice are, and how important it is to protect our culture. Today Mongolia honors Genepil with statues, memorials, and yearly commemorations. Her story, once forgotten, is now an important part of the nation's history. Remembering is important, not just to honor the past but to build a better future. Queen Genepil's story reminds us that freedom is precious, and that bad things can happen when people are oppressed. It teaches us to stand up for what's right, and to learn from history. Genepil's story also shows us how important it is to protect our culture. Her tragic fate is connected to the Soviet Union's attempts to destroy Mongolian culture. By remembering Genepil, we remember to protect different cultures because our differences make us stronger. Genepil's story is powerful not just because of her sad death, but because of her courage and dignity. She is a symbol of hope in a dark time in Mongolian history. Her story shows us that even when things are very bad, people can be strong, and fighting for freedom and justice is always important. Queen Genepil's story is a sad reminder of what can happen during political problems and extreme ideas. Her life was marked by the turbulence of a nation in transition, a period where Mongolia was grappling with its identity and future. Her journey from the vast, open Mongolian steppe to the throne was nothing short of extraordinary. Becoming queen was a testament to her grace and resilience. However, her tragic death underscores the harsh realities and the brutal political climate Mongolia faced during those times. Even though her time as queen was short and her death was unfair, Queen Genepil's legacy is more than just her sad ending. It is a story of enduring strength and the unyielding spirit of a woman who became a symbol of her nation's cultural heritage. Genepil's story reminds us that we can be brave even when things are tough. Her courage in the face of adversity is a powerful lesson for all of us, showing that true bravery often comes from the most unexpected places. Her story shows the strength of the human spirit, the importance of protecting our culture, and the need to learn from the past. It is a call to honor and preserve the rich traditions that define us, even as we move forward into the future. As Mongolia continues to grow, Queen Genepil's memory is a guide. Her legacy serves as a beacon, reminding us of the values that are worth holding on to, no matter how much the world changes around us. She is a symbol of hope, reminding us that even in the darkest times, people can survive and even thrive, just like a wildflower on the Mongolian steppe. Her story is a testament to the resilience and beauty that can emerge from the harshest conditions. Queen Genepil's story should be told everywhere, not just in Mongolia. It is a universal tale of human dignity, resilience, and the enduring power of hope and courage. It's a story about what it means to be human, how important freedom is, and the power of hope. Her legacy transcends borders, reminding us all of the shared values that unite humanity.